Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Are you confident? How confident are you that this podcast will work for you? How confident are you in the material that you're about to hear? I am super confident. Like, I'm over the top confident. I'm telling you, today we're going to talk about confidence. What is confidence? How do you define it? Like, what happens when you don't have confidence? What happens when you are confident? What happens in new situations when it comes to confidence? And what happens to experience situations when you have or don't have confidence? So the bottom line is we're talking about confidence today, and I am so confident that you are going to be blown away with today's episode. Welcome to Referrals Podcast. I appreciate you being here. Top 100 podcast. Are you kidding me? We're not talking about marketing or self-help or self-improvement or, health, wealth, and happiness. And maybe we are. Maybe all of those are wrapped up into a referrals lifestyle. I'm telling you, there's something to it. Now, I'm telling you, have you had time to check out Referral Mastery Academy yet? Go to referralmasteryacademy.com. Free resources, free referral resources for your referral library. There's a free referral library. And also you have on-demand classes, live classes each month. We are literally adding instructors, adding classes every single month. We just did the March Magic Challenge not too long ago. 1,000 people in that thing. It was crazy. It was amazing. People were changing lives and they were changing their own lives. It was very, very cool. Referralmasteryacademy.com. And I've got a freebie tip for you. JoinGenGen.com. Join the generosity generation. You can do it for free. Now it is filtered. We don't just let everybody in. But if you say you heard about it from the Referrals Podcast, you're our kind of people. We want you in the generosity generation so we can give you referrals. So go to joingengen.com. A big shout out, I have to tell you, I've got Michelle, and she said, Michael is real and completely authentic. He interviews a variety of guests that share their success with implementing the 7L strategies and more. Each episode provides motivation and actionable steps to improve your life and business. I love that, Michelle. Thank you so much. Michelle sells real estate. She gave that to us via iTunes. I encourage you to rate us, review us, subscribe us. Check us out on YouTube. Get Referrals channel on YouTube and make it happen today. We have a repeat guest today that I am so excited about. We are going deep on a subject that is so powerful, so powerful. We're going to have a conversation today around confidence. And I'm reminded of that Demi Lovato song, Confidence, right? You might want to play that after this podcast. So Chantelle Ray started her career in an entry-level job making $9 an hour. In 2005, she started on her real estate journey, and today she owns a multi-million-dollar real estate business. She's living her dream, increases her tithe by 3% every year to reach her ultimate goal of giving away 90% of her income by the age of 54, which would be reverse tithing. Awesome. She currently has over 200 agents nationwide and just recently changed the name to Canzel Realty and is expanding across the country and is also a published author of Amazon bestseller Waste Away, the Chantel Ray Way, and this launched her Waste Away wellness brand, which she developed after struggling with her weight and an autoimmune disease for years. Chantel also is the host and creator of the Waste Away, the Intermittent Fasting Podcast. Check it out. In 2019, Chantel wrote and published her second book, another runaway bestseller, Fasting to Freedom, which focuses on biblical fasting to gain provision and freedom from sin. Can you get freedom from sin through food or the absence of food? You have to read the book to find out. Chantel currently resides in Virginia Beach. She is married to her husband, Ryan, who owns a competing real estate agency, an interesting story all its own. They have an 18-year-old daughter, Shayla, and a 9-year-old son, Kyle. Let's welcome once again one of our favorite guests, Chantel Ray.
Hi.
What's up? How are you?
Good to see you. Always a pleasure.
I tell you, I'm telling you, every time you come on, it's like you are this great reminder of health, wealth, and happiness. I'm telling you, like that needs to be your shtick, because some people, there's that old adage is we give up our health to attain the wealth, and then we spend all of our wealth to try to get back our health later in life, right? You're not doing that, right? You just decided I'm going to be healthy and I'm going to be wealthy, which is going to make me happy.
Yeah. And, I love that you said that, but it's always a struggle. I mean, I have to struggle with that all the time. And I have to just keep that in the top of my mind all the time, that my health is more important, because I honestly naturally deviate towards my work. Like that is kind of, I have always in the past done my work and then my health. Yep. And I've changed it to my health and then my work, but it's a very difficult balance for me. I'm constantly battling that, and I have to remind myself of that every single day.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. It one of the things is that, like, we have to be true to our clients. And in this case, you have 200 plus agent clients, but you also have real estate clients. You have a lot of clients who could demand a lot of your time. And we have to be true to ourselves, which is the health journey, right? And that is a delicate balance. The more clients you have, the more you might be inclined to be pulled towards the real estate and the customer world, right? But we always have to be we have to be true to ourselves first, right? It's the adage, you've heard me say it a million, fly, right? We have to learn to fly, and that's first love yourself. First love yourself, because if you can just love on yourself, and that's a key to the Sweet Dreams nightly rituals and also the morning ritual, is first love yourself, and then you're free to go and love on others and love on your clients and so on and so forth. And what we don't want to do is love on others so much that we're miserable.
Absolutely.
Right? So I love that. And I'm confident that you will conquer that. I'm confident that you will win that battle. Right? Why am I confident? I think that last time we were on, we were talking about health, wealth, and happiness, and we really started to go into some deep conversation about all three of those aspects. And it was amazing how often it boiled or rolled back to confidence. And this whole concept of confidence is a deep it's a deep subject, right? It's not you can fake confidence, but it's really hard to fake confidence, So let me ask you this, is right off the bat, your definition of confidence. What is confidence to you?
So confidence for me means feeling sure of yourself and your abilities. So I always say that without confidence, you're like a big jumbo jet ready to take off of the runway, but you have no fuel. It's like having a Tesla and having no battery. I want to tell you a story. I have a Tesla and I didn't charge my battery. And I was on the highway and I had to go to this gym that was really far away. It was like 25 minutes from my house. And I looked at my car and I was like, you know what? I think I have enough charge to get there. And there's no reason for me not to be able to charge at my car, but I'm actually just really bad at it. But all I have to do is charge it right when I get home. But sometimes I'm on the phone and I just forget to do it. So anyway, I look down, I think I have enough juice to be able to make it. And I'm leaving on the gym on the way home and I realized I'm not going to be able to make it. And the Tesla tells you where the closest Tesla chargers are. And it said none nearby. So I call my friend Heather at work and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make it. Can you have Michael come pick me up? I said, I'm going to be stuck on the side of the highway. And she said, well, if you're near Atlantic Bay Mortgage on Lynn Haven Parkway, they actually have a Tesla charger. I guess they didn't have it as one of the marked places. And I looked down, it's about 6 miles away. And I'm like, I was at 0. And I said, by the time I looked at it, I was at 0 and I was 3 miles away. And I was just praying. I was like, God, please help me get there. Help me. I literally passed by 2 cops. I made like 2 illegal turns. Nope. They like looked at me. They never pulled me over. I was like, what's going on? But anyway, what happens is when you're riding that Tesla, I mean, you can get to 100 miles in like 5 seconds. I mean, it's the fastest pickup you will ever have in a car. But when the battery is low and you don't have any battery, it literally, my car was moving at a snail's pace. Like it wasn't allowing me to go at full speed. And that's the example that I give people. It's like when your battery's not charged, because what confidence does, it's like fuel for the jet. It's like the battery charge for the Tesla. And that's what you need every single day to kind of get you going. And, you know, this
Now,
past
hold a second.
Monday,
You got to finish the story. Like, did you make it?
yeah, I actually made it. I made it and it stopped. I couldn't get all the way to the thing. So I had to push the car about 2 feet and then and grab the piece to get it in there. But I did get it in there to start charging.
Were you in your high heels and everything when you pushed the car?
Oh, yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I was.
That's a sight that I now have in my head. So, but here's the thing, right? Is you were going and you were 3 miles away and it said 0, right? So, like, how confident were you that you were going to make it?
Honestly, I was not confident at all.
Right.
That
You
I was going to
weren't.
make
So
it
why-
because it said 0.
Yeah, right.
They must have like a 3-mile buffer on there because that was exactly what it was. It said 0 and I ended up going 3 more miles.
Yeah. So, well, first and foremost is I think you've kind of given an example of, you know, the first, you know, how do we define it? Is it important? Is confidence important?
Yeah,
And why?
absolutely.
Like, why is it important? What is the importance of confidence? What's the importance of today's subject, like confidence? What do you think it is?
Well, I'll give you an example. This past Monday, I had such an amazing day. I mean, I literally came home and I was thinking to myself, why did I have, like, I slayed the day. Like, I was like, wow. And I realized the day before, I literally listened to 14 sermons. And, you know, I'm really big in putting, you know, God's word in my heart, but also just leadership podcast. I'm a big podcast fan. Your podcast is amazing. I'm just a real fan of like knowledge is power. And so when I feel like part of what gives me the confidence to be able to do that is fueling my mind over and over and over. And it was funny because my husband came up and he was joking me and he was like, what if you listened to like 10 sermons and leadership podcasts today? I'm like, no, 14, you know, but that was on Sunday. And then on Monday, I had filled up my brain so much with like positivity and the Bible. And it was literally like me loading up my Tesla, you know?
Yep.
Funny because the Tesla suggests that you only charge up to about 200, even though you can charge it up to 230. And it's funny because if you look at the Tesla site, it says, thou shalt not charge your Tesla to 100%. And it says that electric car batteries shouldn't be charged all the way up to 100%. They should only go up to like 90%. So even though you can charge it all the way to 230, you should only do that when you're going on like a big trip. And so what I do on the days where I'm like, okay, I've got a lot going on tomorrow, I've got to have my A game, I am filling my car up with massive amounts of leadership podcasts, sermons online, you know, any kind of real estate podcast that's going to really just fill me. Like that day I did 14. I don't normally do 14. I usually do about 4. But I felt like that week I needed to load my Tesla up all the way to the maximum, like I was going on a big trip. So
you really needed to charge the battery, which Sundays are such a great day to charge the battery. I know a lot of people listen to the referral. It drops on Tuesdays, but I know a lot of people who listen to this on Sundays. So it's interesting that we kind of recharge the battery on Sundays. That's very cool. So let's talk like confidence. I think it's, very important because it's here. The way I look at it, let me ask you some questions on this, and just play along with me here, Chantel, is all right. So I've got a $1 billion briefcase, right? So I've got a briefcase. You open it up, it's actually got the code to the $1 billion bank account, right? So it's in a locked briefcase. So I'm going to put that briefcase on a porch somewhere in the United States, right? And what I actually did is I went to the Secret Service and I told them, hey, don't tell me where it's at. I want you to go put this $1 billion briefcase with Chantel's name on it, and I want you to put it on some porch in America. Okay? So that's the scenario. All right? Chantel, what do you do to go find that briefcase?
Well, again, I first have to believe that I can find it. Because if I don't believe that I can do it and I start getting so overwhelmed, like that's going to be, if I start saying things like, that's going to be absolutely impossible for me to do. This is all over the country. The country's so big. I only have this amount of time to do it. I'm going to get tired. I start going down that rabbit trail. There's no way that I'm going to do it. So first I've got to get right here and build my confidence. And, every one of us, I don't care who you are, we have highs and lows with our confidence. And, sometimes I feel like I'm super confident and sometimes I'm not feeling as confident. Sometimes when I do start getting really confident, I almost sometimes will be like, you know what, Chantel, you need to be more humble. And so then I'll get into a funk and I'll be like, oh, I need to puff up my chest and I need to give myself like a big pep talk, like get me back in the coach, But I think that the biggest thing that you have to do is figure out where you put your confidence in. So for me, I would first pray for wisdom for where I'm going to find that. So like, I'll show you my ring. I forgot my wedding ring. And so my husband always says to me, he'll say something like, look at your finger. And I'll be like, I know, I forgot it right next to the nightstand. I forgot to put it on this morning. And his response always is this, is that the place to put it? And so it was funny. I was thinking about that. And when you look at your confidence, you have to say to yourself, is that, let's say I'm not looking my best that day. My hair looks terrible. I'm feeling down.
Oh, yeah.
And I go,
that's going to happen.
Like I'd say, is that where I should put it? And the question is, where are you putting your confidence in? And your confidence, in my opinion, has to come from God, because if you're trying to put it on, oh, did I have a good sales day today? Or did I have a good hair day? Every day is not going to be right where you want it to. So I think it's like, is that where you should put it? Is what I always remind myself. And I go, where do I need my confidence from? My confidence comes from God. And that's what I'm constantly looking to. So if I was looking for that, I would really pray for wisdom on where am I going to find this? Like, God, open up doors. Where am I going to look? Where is this going to be?
Okay. So you pray about where the briefcase is, right? And it's $1 billion, right? It's imagine the good you could do with $1 billion, right? Mm-hmm. This isn't $1 million briefcase, right? So, $1 million briefcase for me and you, it's maybe we don't even spend the time looking for it, right? But this is $1 billion. We could change the world, basically, So you pray, right? And I guess the first thing is, okay, at what point do you take action, right? So we're praying to God. Okay, God open doors, things like that. But honestly, at some point, we have to open our own doors, right? We have to take action. So you've built off this prayer and this belief and this hugely powerful power, right? So what do you do next to find this $1 billion briefcase?
So one of the things that I would try to do is think how I could step out of the box and think of other ways. Like I'd probably do like some kind of brainstorming session with a bunch of friends and going, hey, you know, this is a new venture that I need to do. Let's all get together and kind of brainstorm some action steps that I need to take to be able to find this. Because when somebody is not confident, what happens is they won't step out and try something new if we're not confident. You know, because it's like people who don't have self-confidence, they're like, oh, that's new, I don't know. So I would really try to look outside the box and try to figure out some different game plans of what do I need to do to get this, you know, and get a team of people around me, because I don't like to do things by myself. And I would start delegating different things to different people, saying, okay, well, you start here, and start making a game plan for it.
And I love that answer, right? Because it actually goes, this is the Referrals podcast, right? And so I pose this question to audiences everywhere I go. And it's interesting is I noticed that you didn't say you would put up a billboard. I noticed that you didn't say that you would go and advertise. I noticed that you didn't say you would do a Facebook ad, right? The first thing that you would turn to is you would turn to your friends and family. Right? You would turn to your sphere. Why do we turn to them first? Well, they're the ones that are most likely to help us achieve our goals. So why aren't we turning to them every day to build our business? And so that's kind of the first lesson as we go through here. And so you would form a think tank, and you would start to process a plan, right? Here's how we're going to find the porch that has this briefcase with my name on it, and we're going to figure it out. Right. So I love that. And I think the big thing here is so how many porches would you check for your $1 billion briefcase before you'd give up?
I wouldn't give up.
Yeah. So why not?
It's just, there's too much at stake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's the other part of this that I love is that, I mean, first of all, the $1 billion briefcase exists, right? It's out there. We know it's out there. Secret Service put it out there. There's all kinds of people involved in placing and putting the money there. And you are going to check every porch in America until you find it. But that's not how everybody is, Chantel. You know, some people wouldn't even get out of bed. Some people would check their porch, and if it's not there, they're going to go about their life. You know, there's others that would go like to their neighbors' porches and check if it's easy and convenient. And then there's others that would they would walk, they would check 100 porches and then they'd give up. And then you've got the little more fortitude people who would check 1,000 porches and then give up. Chantelle Ray doesn't give up. She's not going to give up. She's going to check every porch in America through some type of plan, through some type of system. And that's confidence, right? You're confident that you will eventually find it. And that's how people go about their day, is that, you know, if it's convenient, maybe I'll get it. Or, you know what? I'm just going to get back into bed. How do we improve the confidence in people that they're never going to give up? Like, what would it take for someone to be just like that? And they're just like, I'm not going to give up.
Well, let me just make this statement. You don't have to feel confident to be confident. You start by believing that you can do things. And some mornings I wake up, maybe I don't feel so great. And, you know, maybe it's a morning when I need to go, you know, it's funny because today I was thinking to myself, God always has me like talk about confidence. And then like something will happen that day. And I'm like, great, I'm talking about confidence today. And I'll wake up with like a zit on my face or something. You know,
in a situation you don't feel confident. Yeah, you're like, I'm not confident today. Wait a second.
Yeah.
I speak about confidence.
Yeah. But confidence is like I said, it's our fuel, and you can have all kinds of ideas about things, but you have to just say to yourself, I'm going to be fearless about this. You know, having confidence is really the same thing as being fearless. And I want to tell you a story about when I first got into real estate. Okay.
Yeah.
So my very first, I worked at a company called William E. Wood at the mall. And we had kiosks, and you had to finish training before you could go to the kiosk. But at the time, the mall said the kiosk has to be manned the entire time. And if it's not manned the entire time, you can get fined. So the girl at the front desk, I walk in, it was my second day of training. I just got my real estate license. I was on day 2. She says, Chantel, I need a really big favor. Bob Carey called out and he can't work the kiosk. I need you to cover the kiosk. She's like, can you do it? I said, sure. So I get there and she's like, now, whatever you do, do not leave the kiosk. It's only 3 hours. Go to the bathroom beforehand. Don't leave it because we can get a big fine if it's not manned. So I said, okay, no problem. So I get there, I sit in the kiosk, I turn on the computer. Mind you, I'm not even out of training yet. I pull up my computer. The only thing I have access to is like the MLS. And the guy comes up and he says, what time is it, ma'am? I said, it's time for you to buy a house. He said, well, I actually am in the market to buy a house. I said, okay, well, you want to come look at some? I've got my computer right here. I pull up the very first house and he's like, I'd like to go see it. Can we go see it right now? I said, sure. And I put a sign on the kiosk, said, be back soon, be right back or whatever. And I left. I showed that one house that I got in the market. Remember when the market was so hot? Well, the market's so hot now, but it was like houses were staying on the market for no time at all. I got in.
Yeah, like 05, 06, right?
05. It was 05.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd like to write an offer on it. So I call my broker. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to write an offer on this house. Meet me at the office. And so that guy just called me last year. And he's like, hey, it was like 14 years or so. And he's like, I want to sell my house. And I said, well, I've got some special treats for you. I have a special basket and some other things I want to give you. I said, I never told you this, but did you know that I was you were my very first client. I never had done a real estate transaction before. And he said, you are kidding me. He's like, I never, ever would have guessed that. He's like, you seem like you knew everything. And the reason is that if I didn't know something, this would have been my answer. Let's say he asked me about something and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. This would be my response. I don't want to give you, let me think about that for just a second. I don't want to give you my off the cuff answer. Let me call you right back. I would call my broker and I'd be like, what do we do with that? I would call him back in 10 seconds. I'd be like, my first instinct was right. This is the answer to it, because I just never, ever let him know. And he was clueless. Like I never told him oh, this is my very first time at the kiosk. I'm not out of training yet.
Yeah.
You're my very first client. He would have been like, heck no, I don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I would have made any excuses, he was like, do you want to go look at the house? Yes, let's go. Okay, if they get a fine, I'd pay the fine. I would deal with that later. I'm not going to look at all those things.
Which is more important, a client or a fine? Right?
What?
The client's more important, right? Which is more important, the client or the fine, right? The client, right? So take care of the people.
Exactly.
Yeah. If I were your broker, I'd pay the fine for you. That was so good, right?
Exactly. And that's exactly how it had it. But, I think that one of the things that's so, so important is believing in yourself and believing you can do it. And I will say this, my mom every single day and my aunt, they would say to me every day, Chantel, you can do anything that you put your mind to. You're so smart. You're so pretty. You're so this. Every day it was something else. And there is absolutely nothing stopping you. You can be anything that you want to be. And so even if you did not have, and my son, I tell him every single day, all I do is puff that boy up so much. It's crazy. He has so much confidence. It's unbelievable. But I really puff him up every single day and tell him how much I love him, how he's everything I've ever wanted in a son and more. And I tell him how smart he is. But even if you didn't grow up with that, all you have to do to change that mindset is go, I'm going to look at the word of God and believe that he has created me. I'm beautifully and wonderfully made, and start reading scripture about how God's made you in his image, number one. And number two, you just start listening to these kind of podcasts on a regular basis and going, okay, well, what do I need to do? And I've got to replace those negative thoughts, whatever negative thought that I had from before, and turn them around into making sure that every time that negative thought, whatever came up before, I'm instantly switching it to that positive self-talk.
That is it. Right. That is it. With the $1 billion, you hit it on the head. The $1 billion briefcase. It's like the first thing that we have to think about it is that what can I do? Right. What can I do? That gets us started is, hey, we may not be able to check every porch in America, but we can execute a plan, or we can create a plan, or we can get a think tank or a mastermind, or we can check our porch and maybe the neighbor's porch today and then give a bigger radius tomorrow, right? I mean, so here's the thing, right, is that, so what if I gave you a GPS and a address of where the $1 billion briefcase is, right? If I gave you a GPS and a map with an address on it of where the $1 billion briefcase is, how much more confidently would you go towards the $1 billion briefcase?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? You would go 100 miles an hour instead of maybe 1 mile per hour, to go back to your Tesla example kind of. And here's the thing is so what's the difference there, right? The difference is the plan, right? The difference is that you would have a map and a GPS, right? What is your map and what is your GPS? And it goes back to, what's the difference between hope and faith, right? Hope waits, faith acts, right? So hope, we have to have hope. First of all, we have to have hope, right? But then we need to build off of hope and go to faith, right? Your faith is humongous, right? You believe. And there's a faith, right? Your faith is, me and God together are going to make this happen, right? For others, it might be, I have so much faith in myself that I'm going to make this happen. So I believe that there is a positive faith and a negative faith, right? The negative faith is you have faith that something negative is going to happen if I do this. The positive faith is I have faith that something positive is going to happen when I do this. Positivity, right? Positive self-talk. So it's one of those where confidence is built off of positive faith. And it's so powerful because, like, you and I have been in a lot of situations where we don't know the outcome. Like, who knows the freaking outcome? Nobody knows the outcome. Nobody does. But we have a positive faith that we're going to figure it out, or we're going to learn doing it. Some people are just going to be, I'm not going to do it because it's going to shut me down. It's going to feel bad. It's going to be, so I think it's one of those where, how might low confidence look from the outside, and how does low confidence feel from the inside? Right? I mean, that goes to it, right? Is where is this from our outside conditioning, right? Parents, if we will, teachers, coaches, and then low confidence, how does it feel on the inside?
So I'll give you a story.
Two separate questions.
We're going to be a publicly traded company, and we're now in 10 states for Canzel Realty, and we give out ownership shares in our company, but our goal is to go public and in the next year or so. And I met with this attorney, and he was like, Chantel, I just want to talk to you. He said 99% of the people who want to go public, once they realize all the headache and how much it costs, they don't follow through with it. So only 1% of the people who apply and start taking the steps and they meet with me, only 1% of them ever do. So I don't, you might want to really rethink that. And I literally said to him, I said, I'm going to stop you right there. I said, everything I've ever done has been in the top 1%. And I'm not even telling you, I'm not saying, can I go public? I said, let me rephrase what I'm telling you right now. We are going to be a publicly traded company, and we can do that with or without you. Are you going to be on our team, and are you going to help us get there or not? And he was like, oh my God, like I really needed to nip that in the bud because he had mentioned it a couple times. And that's when I said, I'm going to stop you right there because I need to know now if you're the right guy that's going to take us there or not. This is the direction we're going. That's the suitcase. That's where we're going. We're going to take it there. Now I need to figure out, we're not deciding whether or not I'm going to be able to do that. I already have the confidence. I already know I can do it. Now I need to find out, do you have the confidence and do you have the ability to take it there? And let me tell you, there was other people in the room and you could hear a pin drop. And then everyone was like, oh, yeah. They started, clapping and they're like, okay. And he's like, thank you. And he's like, you're absolutely right. He's like, I don't even know. He's like, I know your reputation and I know who you are. He's like, I just feel like I have to disclose it. And I said, that's fine. But
you don't have to disclose it 5 times though.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he was talking it because he had doubt, not because you had doubt.
Right.
And sometimes we just have to right the ship. Right? Sometimes we got to make sure we're all rowing in the same direction and we all have the same faith that we're going to arrive at the end point. Right? That's like Shackelford, the greatest story ever of one of the greatest leaders ever of his Antarctica trip, where, his ship basically got stuck in the ice and he brought back every single one of his members alive in a situation where they should have all died. And it's just like you're going back alive. And there were some of them that were on the brink of death, but he said, no, you're living. And they lived. Now, I don't know how much power that guy had, but I mean, it's one of those where he brought back every single one of those guys alive. And it's the same thing, right? Is you righted the ship and you got everybody on point and said, here's where we're going. Right.
When we lack confidence ourselves, it's difficult for other people to put their confidence in us. So I love to be around confident people and I love to be allowed to work with people that are confident. And, we had this admin one time that was just so lacking in confidence that it made me feel like I couldn't put my confidence in her. And so many times I wouldn't ask her to do things because if I asked her to do something new, she would always hesitate and I could tell that she was afraid. And so you want to surround yourself, looking at your staff and looking at the people that you hang out with. I would if I was going to put a scale of 1 to 100, I'd put you at 100, right? And it's like, why? Because you want to surround yourself with those people who have that level of confidence. And that's why I looked at that attorney and said, hey, if you don't have the confidence, then I've got to find someone else. And you want to do that with the people you hang out with, the people that you're with, all of it.
And in today's world, it's even more important and it's even harder to do that because we are, I talk all the time about commit versus cancel culture, right? Are you part of the commit culture or are you part of the cancel culture? And how do you tell the difference is what have you canceled in the last 30 days and what have you committed to in the last 30 days and where are you at on those? And, we're commitment people. If we tell you that we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And not only are we going to do it, but we're probably going to do it better than anybody's done it before, right? And I'm not saying that arrogantly. I'm just saying that's our standards is that if you make a commitment or I make a commitment, we're there. And we're going to do it 110%, which also kind of makes people a little upset because you and I say no a lot. The reason we say no is because we know what a true commitment looks like. Most people say yes to everything and then cancel, right? They don't cancel necessarily by emailing and saying I'm out or I can't. They just fall off, right? I mean, here's the thing. You don't like your marriage, just cancel it. Get a divorce, right? You don't like the thing from Amazon, you just cancel it, right? You don't like a subscription to Netflix that you signed up for, you paid a contract for a year, you just cancel it, right? It's just everything is canceled. And it's like, no, we need to be the opposite of that, is commit 110% and go with everything in your being. But if you're going to do that, one, you got to align with other people who are committed. And number two is you got to say no to a lot of things. And you got to make sure that the yeses are the things that are really passionate about or really help you achieve your goals or aligned with your values or whatever it may be, right? And it's like the number one compliment that we can get in life, in my opinion, is I can count on you. I mean, wouldn't it be great to have an assistant that you can count on? Mm-hmm. And what's it like when you have an assistant or an employee that you can't count on? How about that assistant that you give something to and she goes or he goes, I got it, or I got this. Dude, it's just like, and then you give it to the assistant and you see the hesitation, you see the doubt, like your attorney, and you have to right the ship, right? So it's like confident. You're going to figure it out. And that's what I love about the generosity generation, quite honestly, is if you don't know the answer, you have this amazing network of people who will help you get the answer, right? Gen helps Gen members have more confidence because of the collective intelligence of our group, right? So it's one of those where, and that's the other thing, is people sometimes don't have those support systems. And I think that's something we really have to tap into is, Chantel, if someone listening needs to work on their confidence or they feel like they're low on confidence, what advice do you have for them?
Yeah. So one thing that I would say is that it's not someone else's job to keep you feeling good about yourself all the time. And so a lot of times people are like, well, this person doesn't make me confident, a family member or whatever. But it's miserable to be around people who aren't confident. And some people need like 20 compliments a day, just so they can feel confident, Yep. And I'll tell you a story. I have a friend of mine who brought some golden goose shoes. Do you know what those are? They're like $500 for these shoes. Wow. And so all of our friends were buying these shoes.
Do you wear them?
No, I don't wear them. I don't spend that much.
No, I mean, does anybody wear them? Are they shoes that you just buy?
Like they're very popular. They're very, very expensive.
And they wear them.
Yeah, they wear them. I don't think they're comfortable. I've tried them on. A friend of mine, I was like, let me try these on. Like, are these just like walking on water? They weren't that comfortable. I don't think they're that cute. I mean, I just thought for $500. But she bought the shoes because she felt like she needed that for her confidence. But it was because she felt like people were going to like her if she was going to have those shoes. And to me, it's like, well, if you're going to like me because I'm wearing Golden Goose shoes, you're absolutely the wrong person that I want to hang out with if I have to buy these $500 shoes. Yep. And so we just had that confirmation. But, being with people who don't have confidence, you literally get worn out after a while because you feel like, you have to tiptoe around them all the time, because otherwise they'll start feeling down, and that can kind of get you down on yourself. But that's why I like to always say that you have to be able to get your confidence through God, to get that inner strength, because that is, everyone has different categories. So like one person might have confidence in their looks, but they don't have any confidence at work. And so it's like looking at all those different categories. Someone might say, oh, I have great hair, but I might have great hair and a great smile, but I'm not happy with my weight. So even within those categories. And so what we have to do is each part of that, looking at where our confidence is failing and going, okay, what are the steps that I need to do in that category to get my confidence up.
And it's interesting is, how does fear relate to confidence? And it's like, sometimes a lack of confidence is a good thing, right? It prevents us from hurting ourselves. It might be a deal where, you're climbing up for a high dive and you've never done a high dive before, and they're like, no, you got to jump off the high dive, right? And it's 30 feet up. And so you're at the top of the high dive. You don't have a lot of confidence on what's about to happen, right? And so, like, there are times when maybe you should not jump off a 30-foot high dive if you don't have the experience of jumping off a high dive, right? And then there's people that'll run and jump off without any, any knowledge or anything like that. And they're like, I'll just figure it out on the way down, which scares the crap out of me. Those people scare the crap out of me. But it's one of those where it's there's this happy medium, I guess, or a happy super, where it's like, can you be overly confident?
I think that is, God talks about humility all the time. But I think that if your confidence comes from Him and going, I can be confident in what He has, but I think you have to be sure that that is what He wants from you. So getting that confidence that you're not, going to do. I think most of the time the people I see are people who are kind of saying things like, I'm not going to interview with that job because there's no way I'd get that job anyway. Or I'm not going to get sober today because I know I'll just pour a glass tomorrow. Or I'm not even going to start that diet today because I know that I'm just going to screw it up in a couple weeks. But we don't need more self-confidence. We need to cultivate God confidence, because I have to know that I have to be able to know that this is what God wants me to do, is whatever that area of your life is that you're lacking. And, most of the time that's kind of the devil kind of putting those lies in your brain. Like the example I said, like, I'm not going to go on that diet today because I know tomorrow I'm just going to eat everything under the kitchen sink, or it's only going to last. I'm going to lose 5 pounds and then gain, 30 more.
Yeah, I love that. It kind of goes, it reminds me of a story. I'm not sure if I can tie it in or not, but it's just like, there was a flood and there's a guy on the roof, and so the firemen come by and they're like, get on the ladder so that we can take you, right? And then he's like, no, God's going to save me. And then, the water keeps rising and it keeps raining. And then a guy in a boat comes by and he's like, get in the boat. We're going to take you to safety. And the guy's like, no, God's going to save me. I know that He's going to make sure that I'm okay. And then literally he's standing on top of the chimney, and as the house is getting ready to totally overflow, and a helicopter comes, and the helicopter operator is like, get on, grab the ladder. And he's like, no, my God will save me. And then he drowns. And he's at the pearly gates, and he goes, God, why did you not save me? I believed in you. I had confidence in you. I was going to, and why didn't you save me? And God goes, dude, I sent you a fireman with a ladder. I sent you a boat, and I sent you a helicopter. Right?
Absolutely.
And sometimes we just don't see it. Right? We got to take a little bit of action. We got to take action. And I think I think action breeds confidence. What do you think?
Yeah, I know that you love baseball. And
I do.
One of the greatest joys for me is watching Kyle to play baseball. And if you look at any of my videos, I yell and cheer. And even my son sometimes will be like, you don't have to scream so loud for me, Mom. Like when I am like, go Kyle. People in the other places can hear me,
Yeah.
And I like to think about, I was thinking about that. And I was thinking that, God is cheering for you. Like He's screaming and yelling for you. Like, go Jen, go Steve, go Betty, go Tom. Like He's cheering us on.
That's right.
And you need people in your life that are going to be cheerleaders for you. You know, you always have God. He's screaming, yelling, and he's cheering you on. But you also need to find some people in your life that are going to kind of cheer you on and kind of root you on. Because I watch these kids on the baseball field, and honestly, they do run faster when people are like, go,
Yeah.
go. I mean, that pumps them up. They're going on that baseball field and they're getting after it. And one of my favorite verses is Philippians 1:6. It says, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on until the day of Jesus Christ. And so it's just, for me, I just really go, okay, I've got to be confident of this, that he began a good work in you and he's going to carry it on to completion. And so we have to remind ourselves of that and kind of putting that into the top of our mind.
Yeah, drop the mic on that one, right? And we're at the top of the hour at the end, and I'm not sure, how we can top that advice. It's interesting that I'd never kind of put the two and two together with the two best phrases. If you're a baseball parent or a football parent, soccer parent, whatever, baseball is one of those where it's, the kids almost get to the point where they're fearing the ride home. And baseball is the hardest game. I mean, all the games are beautiful. All the games are awesome. But, you're going to strike out more than you're going to hit. You're going to get more outs than you are going to get hits. And it's a hard game. You're going to make errors. There's too many variables, right? Grass, dirt, turf, glove, speed, readiness. Like there's so many variables that lead to failure in baseball, especially. But the two sentences that we need to say to our kids are, you can do it, and I love to watch you play. And that's it. Don't say, why did you strike out? Don't say, why did you, make that error? Why can't you throw strikes? Why? None of that. You can do it, and I love to watch you play. And that's it. That is your post-game speech. That's your pre-game speech. That's what you say after practice. That's what you say before practice. You can do it. I love to watch you play. You want your kid to play baseball longer? Those two phrases are all you need to know. Don't get into coaching them. Don't get into pressuring them or pushing them. It's just like, you can do it. And Max was just invited to, for USA baseball, right? I mean, the kid's 12 years old, and it's one of those where early on, I think there was pressure, but Max got better when I got better. When I was coaching him in the car going home, it wasn't that great, right? I mean, he felt the pressure. He would kind of burn out on baseball. Listen, it's to the point where it's like, you can do it. I love to watch you play is all I say. And guess what? He's thrived. He's taken it on its own. And his confidence has gone up because of a couple of phrases. So it's just one of those where, this is a big subject, right? I'm telling you, it's amazing what a difference something like a confidence can do, right? Confidence will lead you to a better life. And this has been a really powerful subject today.
Yeah. And I just want to say one last thing, that I want to really encourage people to stop being afraid of failing, because I frequently tell people you're never going to find out if you're right unless you're willing to step out and take a chance on being wrong. And by the way, being wrong isn't the worst thing in the world. We learn lessons from them and we grow from them. And really the best thing you can do sometimes is just step out and find out. And it doesn't take you very long to find out like if this is going to be the right fit or not, but it's a matter of just saying, you know what? I'm going to step out. I'm not going to live in fear. I am going to have fearless confidence.
Oh, I like it. Fearless confidence. It really, it goes back to that upward spiral of life that I talk about all the time, where it's, the upward spiral of life is learn, implement, and then the F always surprises people, and it's fail. And then the E is for evaluate. Learn, implement, fail. Yes, failing is a part of life. Failing is a part of you're not going to implement perfectly the first time. And isn't that great? Because now you can learn, you can process, you can improve. And that's part of the evaluation, right? Learn, implement, fail, evaluate. I do have a to-do for people who are listening to this today. I want you to write a handwritten note. I want you to write a power note to your biggest cheerleader. It can be your biggest cheerleader now, or it can be the biggest cheerleader that you've had in your life. And it may have been your mom. Like Chantel is the mom of the year for Kyle when it comes to baseball. Kyle needs to write a handwritten note to his mom, period. But it's one of those where that's the action that I want everybody to take. I want you to write a handwritten note to your biggest cheerleader, just thanking them for their support, their confidence, their trust, their cheerleading, and just write that note today. That's our action item. That's where we're going to take it today. Chantel, thank you again. We got to bring you back again. You're such a great guest. You're so much wisdom. And I have so many more stories to tell about you that I didn't get a chance to tell today that are awesome. And I just want to say thank you so much for being our guest on Referrals Podcast.
Well, thank you for all the time and the effort. You know, I don't think people realize how much work it is for you to schedule the guests and put the podcast together and do all that. And just the wisdom that you are sharing on every single podcast is just, it takes a lot of work. And so I just want to thank you for pouring into so many people.
My pleasure. And thank you. Thank you for noticing. And it's a labor of love, right?
That's right.
When you love it, it's not as bad, but you're exactly right. There's a lot of work involved to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Please do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, rate, and review us. And if you're not downloading this every Tuesday or Sunday or whenever you're listening, do us a favor. Go ahead and have that downloaded every single week. We do it every week. It's Referrals Podcast. I'm telling you, top 100, I would have never dreamed that possible. But you know what? The team had confidence. I had confidence that we're going to deliver a great product. Boom. It's been amazing. Thank you, everybody. Remember to join gengen.com, and please remember to check out referralmasteryacademy.com, referralmasteryacademy.com. It's brand new. It's hot. It's fresh. You got to make it happen. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time on Referrals Podcast.
Bye.